The cause of death was listed as accidental medical error, specifically attributed to anesthesiologist error during a routine surgical procedure. The medical examiner disagreed, initiating a comprehensive review of the case that included forensic engineering inspections and systemic analysis. This examination revealed the underlying cause. Crossed gas lines in the hospital's infrastructure had mistakenly delivered nitrous oxide instead of oxygen to the patient's anesthesia circuit during surgery. A thorough investigation confirmed that the renovation work on the building's piping system had inadvertently switched the supply lines for the anesthetic gases, leading to a fatal overdose. The anesthesiologist was exonerated, as the forensic evidence demonstrated that human error played no role in this incident. This case highlights systemic failures within hospital maintenance and the importance of rigorous safety checks during construction phases. Chapter: Case background. The incident unfolded on a Wednesday morning at St. Raphael's Hospital in downtown Providence, Rhode Island. The deceased, a 54-year-old male patient scheduled for routine cardiac surgery, was anesthetized under the care of a seasoned anesthesiologist. Approximately 30 minutes into the procedure, the surgical team noted unexpected changes in the patient's vital signs. A sudden drop in oxygen saturation and a corresponding rise in carbon dioxide levels. The anesthesiologist immediately initiated emergency protocols, but could not stabilize the deceased. Upon review of the anesthesia machine shortly after the event, hospital staff observed that nitrous oxide was being administered instead of supplemental oxygen. Initially, the anesthesiologist faced scrutiny for potential human error. However, a thorough forensic engineering inspection revealed the gas supply lines had been improperly switched during recent renovation work in the operating suite. The cross-connection between the nitrous oxide and oxygen lines at the wall panel led to the fatal mix-up. Chapter: Initial findings upon arrival at the hospital's operating theater. First responders observed a patient monitoring system displaying erratic vitals and an anesthesia machine emitting unusual sounds. The deceased was found in supine position on the surgical table, with no visible signs of trauma or external injuries. Initial medical assessment revealed acute hypoxia consistent with respiratory failure. However, airway management equipment was functioning normally, ruling out mechanical asphyxia. Anesthesiologist's documentation indicated a standard protocol had been followed during induction and maintenance phases prior to the incident. The immediate manner of death was classified as undetermined pending further investigation into potential anesthetic agent maladministration. This finding prompted a forensic engineering inspection focusing on hospital infrastructure modifications recently completed in the operating suite, leading to the discovery that gas supply lines for nitrous oxide and oxygen had been inadvertently crossed during renovation work. The immediate manner of death was classified as undetermined pending further investigation into potential anesthetic agent maladministration. Chapter: Forensic investigation. Upon the initial discovery of the fatal incident, a thorough examination of the operating room revealed mislabeling on the anesthesia delivery apparatus. Physical evidence included gas line connectors that did not match the corresponding port designations. Swabs and samples from these interfaces were collected for forensic analysis to confirm cross-connections. Documentation indicated maintenance records had been updated, but failed to reflect recent changes accurately. Notable was the absence of any mechanical failure or equipment malfunction beyond human error in labeling and assembly. The chain of custody meticulously tracked all recovered items, ensuring integrity throughout examination phases. No unexpected artifacts were found at the scene. The focus remained on verifying gas supply line configurations. Gas chromatography mass spectrometry was employed to analyze the gas mixtures present in the anesthesia delivery system at the time of the incident, revealing a concentration of 95% nitrous oxide and 5% oxygen, instead of the required 70% nitrogen and 30% oxygen. The chain of custody meticulously tracked all recovered items, ensuring integrity throughout examination phases. No unexpected artifacts were found at the scene. The focus remained on verifying gas supply line configurations. This was critical in determining that the supply lines had been inadvertently crossed during hospital renovation. Histological examination of tissue samples from the deceased revealed widespread fat embolism syndrome, consistent with hyperbaric effects of nitrous oxide under anesthesia conditions. Microscopic analysis showed intravascular lipid droplets and necrotizing vasculitis indicative of gas bubble occlusion and endothelial injury. Detection thresholds for toxic gases were set at 0.1% to ensure no residual contaminants affected findings. These results conclusively indicated that the anesthesiologist was not culpable, but rather a systemic failure in hospital infrastructure oversight. The forensic investigation reconstructed the sequence of events through a meticulous examination of medical records, witness statements, and physical evidence from the hospital's operating room. Radiologic imaging indicated hypoxic brain injury consistent with inadequate oxygen supply during surgery, corroborated by blood gas analysis revealing low arterial oxygen levels at the time of death. The postmortem interval was determined to be approximately 2 hours following the initial surgical intervention, based on tissue decomposition rates and lividity patterns observed during autopsy. Analysis of the anesthesia delivery system revealed that nitrogen oxide had been mistakenly routed through the oxygen supply line due to a misaligned valve installed during recent renovations. This finding contradicted preliminary suspicions of anesthesiologist error, exonerating the medical professional involved. The timeline confirmed that systemic failures in safety protocols and oversight were responsible for the fatal incident rather than individual negligence. The forensic investigation revealed a critical misalignment of gas supply lines during hospital renovation, leading to the delivery of nitrous oxide instead of oxygen during anesthesia administration. Expert testimony confirmed that this mechanical failure was unequivocally the cause of death and exonerated the anesthesiologist from any culpability in the event. Conclusive evidence included forensic engineering reports and witness statements verifying the pipeline cross-connection. Interpretive elements involved understanding systemic oversight gaps that allowed such a hazardous misalignment to occur undetected. Under oath, the expert would affirm that while human error played no role in the fatality, institutional procedures for maintenance verification were inadequate and required immediate revision to prevent future occurrences. Chapter Resolution. The initial investigation into the death of the deceased focused on anesthesiologist error due to a perceived breach in standard operating procedures during anesthesia administration. However, forensic engineering analysis revealed that gas supply lines for nitrous oxide and oxygen were inadvertently switched during a recent hospital renovation, resulting in the delivery of incorrect gases at the patient outlet. Evidence from meticulous examination of the piping system confirmed the existence of 2 distinct sets of markings on the pipes, indicating a clear crossover point where labels did not match the actual flow direction. Witness testimonies corroborated that the anesthesiologist had followed protocol and double-checked all equipment before use, leaving no indication of human error. Upon this discovery, the investigation shifted focus to identify systemic issues within hospital infrastructure oversight during renovations, leading to an exoneration of the anesthesiologist. The incident highlighted institutional tendencies towards identifying individual culpability, rather than scrutinizing broader environmental or procedural factors that may contribute to such fatal occurrences. This case underscores the imperative of thorough forensic investigation over immediate attribution of blame. It highlights the necessity for rigorous examination of systemic and environmental factors before concluding individual culpability. The file remains open,